What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, I'd like to give you guys a ranking. Yes, I'm going to rank all 3 seasons of Cobra Kai from worst to best. Now, just to be clear, there is not a worst season of Cobra Kai. They've all been great, but this is a ranking video, so I feel like there has to be a worst and there has to be a best. And since there's only been 3 seasons, we're going to be able to move through this pretty quickly. So, number 3, the worst season of Cobra Kai, which is still a great season, was Season 2. Now, why is Season 2 not as good as Season 1 or 3? Well, I think it really comes down to the fact that in Season 2, they heightened the fantasy of it. You know, Season 1 felt very grounded in reality, while Season 2, all of a sudden, everybody in the valley is karate experts, and you saw that in the fight at the end. And as fun as that big throwdown was in the school at the end, that was when you realized, okay, this is fantasy. You know, these kids should not be this good at karate, and where are all the parents? Where are all the teachers? Where are all the adults? Where is everybody stopping this? Just nobody was. I mean, there's a few contrived efforts to stop it, but the reality was, if that happened in real life, the teachers would shut it down, and that, you know, clearly wasn't happening here. So it felt very fantasy. It felt very, you know, it looks like the real world, sounds like the real world. A lot of the rules are real world, but this is fantasy, and that's okay. It's a really strong fantasy show, but it's fantasy. So for those reasons, the fact that it really heightened the fantasy elements of it and kind of made it kind of, I don't want to say cartoonish, but it had kind of some of those elements where it didn't feel very real. For those reasons, Season 2 definitely is at the bottom of the list. And Season 2 is also the season that kind of leaned into the nostalgia the least. Yeah, it had Kreese for a whole season, but at the same time, it just felt like there were fewer callbacks to the original trilogy in Season 2. And it ended with the Ali friend request. But again, this is a series that part of its success relies on nostalgia, and Season 2 just seemed like it had the fewest nostalgic moments. So it's my number 3. Still a great season though. Loved it. It's my number 3. All right, my second favorite season of Cobra Kai is Cobra Kai Season 3. It just, as good as it was, I didn't feel like it was quite as good as Season 1, but Season 3 is still great. The Okinawa sequence is fantastic. Seeing Daniel catch up with Kumiko and Chozen and another guest appearance. I mean, all of it was gold, and all of it just calls back to the original trilogy in ways that Season 2 was not able to. Ali was there for 2 episodes, and again, her presence felt very authentic. It felt very natural. It didn't feel forced, and it connected us again to that original trilogy. So the storytelling was great, and yeah, it did kind of have a cartoonish final brawl like Season 2 did, but they did scale down the size of it, and they put it in a situation where there were no adults present to shut it down, so that kind of gave you some escapism from that. This season clearly leaned into the nostalgia, it leaned into the Karate Kid mythos, and it was stronger for it. So Season 3 is my number 2. But my number 1 favorite season of Cobra Kai, obviously by process of elimination, you figured it out, and it is the first season. The first season, I first watched it when it first dropped on YouTube Plus or YouTube Red or YouTube Premium or whatever it was called back then, when it first came out a few years ago. And I was one of the first people singing the praises of Cobra Kai. I told all my friends, you guys, I was like, it's worth it to get a YouTube subscription just for Cobra Kai. It's that good. And it turns out that everybody that I talked to Cobra Kai about loved it. And that's because the first season is such a strong season. The storytelling is well done. The characters are well conceived. There's lots of shades of gray, you know, understanding that neither one is neither the antagonist or the protagonist, that they're just real people going through real situations in their real lives. It really gave it a certain sense of realism. So again, season 1 was phenomenal. Ending it in the tournament really felt Karate Kid-ish, and the relationship between Daniel and Miguel, it really felt very much like a callback to the relationship between Miyagi and Daniel. And seeing Johnny look at life through that perspective really gave you hope that Daniel and Johnny could put their differences aside and eventually have a relationship, which we are seeing that relationship, that friendship, come to fruition now. So, yeah. Season 1 was phenomenal, and it set the tone for Cobra Kai, which has gone on to become one of my favorite shows. So, number 2 is my third favorite, or Season 2 is my third favorite, Season 3 is my second favorite, but Season 1 is still my favorite season of Cobra Kai. But that being said, how would you rank the Cobra Kai seasons? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel while you're down there. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that I do. And as always, thank you so much for joining me here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.